Dean Sysman, thank you for coming. Thank you. It's a great pleasure to have you with me.
Thank you for having me.
So, how much? What about you? What is the valuation of Axonius?
It's definitely higher than it was in our last funding round earlier this year where we became a unicorn. But I'll tell you, there's a good question as to why there are so many unicorns today and why is the market seeming very chaotic. When COVID started already, cybersecurity was top of mind and technology was a big thing that people invested in. But when you have the combination of interest rates going really low, many industries were not investable during COVID, like travel or retail or restaurants. And then you have technology, which is just getting super powered by so many people working from home, so many organizations needing to do digital transformation so quickly. And then the VCs get a lot of dry powder, a lot of funding. You have the SPACs, you have a lot of companies IPOing. So it drives the valuations way up. And I think there's a huge amount of realness behind it. There's a very good reason why organizations need it, but there's also some risk at valuations becoming too inflated and too disconnected from reality, right? And the analogy I like to use is, when people who are not part of the industry ask me, why are there so many cybersecurity startups? Like, what's different from you guys and everybody else? The answer is, if you think about an analogy of a car, right? If you drive a Ferrari, that's a really fast car, that car's braking system needs to match the speed, right? If I give you a Ferrari that the braking system was from a Toyota Camry, you would not drive that car because the speed and agility at which you're going doesn't match your control or the speed that you can brake. And the same thing goes for cybersecurity and the adoption of technology in organizations, right? When organizations went through COVID and they had to go through digital transformation instantly, they ended up onboarding a lot of different technology. And now that braking system that gives them control and safety against those technologies is their cybersecurity stack. And now we're realizing that the world has really underinvested significantly in cybersecurity. And you see all these companies that are coming out with these new approaches, these new platforms, like us, like others, that grow their revenue at amazing speeds. And you see that both in the private markets with these valuations. And secondly, you see it on the public markets with multiples that we've never seen before. Udi came on in front of me. I'm sure that when he IPO'd, the multiples he was looking at were an order of magnitude lower than what we're seeing today. So there's a huge potential for cybersecurity to become such a huge part of the technology stack of every organization. And that means that there's going to be a lot of unicorns. There's going to be a lot of new technologies that are taking over, along with the decline of what used to be the giants in the space, right? The McAfee's, the Symantec's. They did not innovate fast enough. They did not address the customer's needs fast enough. And now we're seeing them declining compared to these new unicorns.
So Dean, I would like you to share with the audience something about yourself. So you are based here in New York, correct? And when did you first get the idea not to have a unicorn? I guess you didn't have this idea in advance, but to have a significant cybersecurity company?
Great question. So the story starts with the time I was before Axonius. I was working with this very, very large company, one of the largest companies in the world, and we were trying to find an advanced attacker that was already in their network. And after a few days of work, we discovered that there was an attacker in there, and actually it was a group that was already very well researched. It was attributed to one of the Chinese government threat actors. And when we came to the team that we were working with, we showed them the results and we showed them, here's the machine where the attacker is operating from. And we told them about this. They were not very excited. And I was very surprised. I was like, look, guys, I showed you, this is one of the most advanced threats in your network. Why aren't you more excited about us discovering this? And first they said, well, we got tipped off. This might be happening. That's what we brought you guys in. But the second part is, now there's not much we can do about it. Like, what are we supposed to do now? And I said, look, here's the machine where they're operating from. It's a computer in your network. Here's the IP address. Here's the host name. Let's go research this machine. And they gave me a very weird answer, which is, yeah, we don't know what that machine is doing there. And asked them, what do you mean? They said, yeah, we don't know everything in our network. There's a lot of areas where we have no idea why things are there. We don't know who owns them or if they should be there or shouldn't be there. And we spent a few days of talking about this topic. And at the end, I even asked them, do you even know how many devices? Do you have just a number? And they said, yeah, we have between 1.5 to 3 million devices. And I said, well, guys, without being very judgmental, that means you don't know, right? Like if you went to a CFO and you asked how much money is on the balance sheet, and they would go, oh yeah, we have between 200 to 400 million dollars. Your trust that that CFO would be very low. So when I went to every other organization, every other CISO, CIO, CTO, I'd ask them, do you know how many devices do you have? The answer would always be either I don't know or a wide enough range to mean the same thing. And the reason this has happened is when you go far enough into the past, computing environments used to be very homogeneous. It used to be one type of device, one operating system, one network, and one management console. And now each one of those things, you have dozens of different variations of. And modern organizations are very fragmented in the way that their data is spread out through the entire organization. So once I saw this problem, I realized this is the fundamental step to solving everything. And the more the world becomes interconnected, more people work from home, the more kind of devices we utilize, this problem is going to get much, much worse. And there was no solution in the market. So we were very customer-centric when we started the company, and we said we have to solve this problem because the practitioner side should not be spending time on this. They should have very strong fundamentals and then be able to do their job, which is very advanced and very challenging.
Cool. So if I'm not mistaken, I think, and it's quite weird to say that Axonius is maybe an exceptional company regarding that you have revenue, which is sometimes seems bad for unicorns, that you have actually quite significant revenue. And if I'm not mistaken, you are considered to be one of the most growing unicorn. And you are coming from a field which is maybe not the most sexy, like the asset management. What is the future of this field? Is it promising, like the cloud, for example?
Yeah, so obviously there are very hot markets that are obvious that the market itself is going to grow very big because the underlying market is growing very big. For example, cloud security, right? The cloud is growing immensely. Organizations are moving there, so cloud security is going to grow a lot. When we discovered the problem with asset management, we realized there's a foundational problem that organizations have, which is they don't have any system of record for their infrastructure. They have no idea what they have. And that is the basis for every other process in cybersecurity and many other processes outside of cyber, like IT and operations. And today, we have some of the biggest brands in the world, in the US and outside of it. In the federal space, we have many federal agencies be our customers, and just an immense value that we see from organizations for the first time actually understanding their environment through Axonius. So while this is a very unsexy topic, we actually feel very proud of the fact we're solving the fundamental problem of this. And our growth in revenue, which according to every comparable we've seen, has been the fastest for a cybersecurity company in history. That justifies our billion-dollar valuation. And I'm not on the VC side, I'm not on the public market analyst side, but I think there is a lot of copy and paste that people are having from companies who have very strong underlying business value that's generating revenue, that's growing very quickly, that is seeing customers change their behavior to fit that new strategy, that new category, like asset management, or what we are now calling the system of record for your infrastructure, and building their operations and strategy on that, rather than areas where there's a lot of growth and there's going to be a lot of potential, but there's still very underlying assumptions about the valuations that those companies are getting. And I would encourage every person involved in any way to make the decision for yourself. Where are the strong underlying business fundamentals, and where are we, taking the market to a position where it needs to catch up to where we think it is.
Dean Sysman, this is our first discussion, hopefully not the last. Congratulations for the big success from your hometown here in New York. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Amir. It's a pleasure.